The hall was vast, shining with lights that glowed like distant stars. The walls were smooth, almost like glass, but stronger than any metal humans had ever seen. The alien queen sat at the center, tall and graceful, with her long, shimmering robes trailing behind her. Around her, advisors and leaders of her civilization stood in strict lines, their faces serious and tense. The queen had ruled for centuries, guiding her people through wars, famines, and discoveries. She was known for her wisdom, her courage, and her perfect health. Not a single sickness had ever touched her. Not until now. Suddenly, without warning, the queen's face twisted in pain. Her hands shook as she clutched her chest. A sharp sound of alarm echoed through the hall. Her attendants rushed forward, but it was too late. The queen collapsed onto the floor. "Your Majesty," one of the advisors shouted. "Call the healers! Quickly!" The alien medics, moving with incredible speed and precision, surrounded her. Their tools glowed with energy, scanning her body in ways humans could barely imagine. Machines hummed and beeped, recording data. Every monitor, every readout told the same shocking story. The queen was having a heart attack. Gasps filled the room. Whispers ran through the crowd like wildfire. "A heart attack?" one advisor murmured. "Impossible. She is perfect. Nothing has ever harmed her before." "Check again," another demanded. "There must be a mistake. This cannot happen to the queen." The lead medic shook their head, a gesture of worry. "We have checked and there is no error. Her heart is failing, but this has never happened in her species before. We do not know why." Panic spread quickly. The council, normally calm and orderly, began to argue. Some thought it might be poison. Others suspected a disease brought from a distant planet. One group even suggested the impossible, that someone had cursed the queen. In the middle of the chaos, a human ambassador watched silently. He was small compared to the towering aliens, and he wore a simple uniform. He had been invited as part of a diplomatic mission to observe and learn from this advanced civilization. No one had thought a human could help in such a crisis. Humans were known in the eyes of many aliens as fragile, weak, and unpredictable, but the human did not panic. His name was Aaron. He had studied alien physiology and medicine for years. He had learned to understand many species, even ones far different from humans. He stepped forward slowly, his eyes calm but focused. "May I try something?" he asked. His voice was quiet but firm. The room fell silent. Some aliens turned to him with curiosity, others with suspicion. "A human?" one medic whispered. "This is not your concern." Aaron did not argue. He knelt beside the queen and carefully observed her. He touched her arm lightly, feeling the rhythm of her heart. He examined her breathing, the subtle movements of her body and the glow of her energy. He did not use fancy machines at first. He relied on his knowledge, his careful observation, and his mind. The lead medic frowned. "Human, your methods are unorthodox. You cannot help her like this." Aaron nodded. "I understand. But sometimes the simplest approach shows what the machines cannot." Minutes passed. The queen's attendants continued their frantic efforts, but the queen did not regain consciousness. Her eyes remained closed, her body weak. Aaron's mind raced. He thought of human medicine, of alien medicine, and of ways he could combine knowledge from both worlds. Then, slowly, he realized something. The queen's heart attack was not caused by poison, disease, or injury. It was caused by stress, deep, overwhelming stress. Not just mental stress, but a combination of her environment, her diet, and her long years of responsibility. Her body had reached a point no one expected. Her species had never experienced this, because they did not live as long as she had, and they did not face the pressures she carried. He looked up at the medics. "Her body is unique," he said. "Your treatments are advanced, but they are not enough for this. We need to help her heart relax, to remove the strain she carries. It is a combination of care, medicine, and understanding her mind. I can help." Some aliens looked skeptical. Others were quietly impressed. The lead medic stepped closer. "Very well," they said. "If you can help, you may try. But be careful. One mistake and she could die." Aaron nodded. He worked quickly but gently. He began by adjusting the queen's posture, making sure her chest was not compressed. He applied small, precise doses of alien medicine, guided by his knowledge of physiology. Then he spoke softly in the queen's own language, words meant to calm her mind. Even in unconsciousness, energy flowed differently when her mind was soothed. Time seemed to slow. The medics watched, unsure. The council waited, tense and quiet, and then something remarkable happened. The Queen's breathing became steadier. The tremor in her hands eased. Her heart rate, once dangerously fast and irregular, began to stabilize. Her vitals are improving, one medic said, eyes wide with surprise. The human... It is working, Aaron continued, carefully adjusting doses and monitoring her responses. He combined the alien technology with techniques from his own species. It was not an easy task. Every moment was delicate, every movement critical. But the human did not waver. His calm determination filled the room with a sense of hope. Finally, after what felt like hours, the Queen's eyes fluttered open. They were soft, still confused, but alive. She looked around the room at the medics, the council, and then at the human kneeling beside her. "You helped me," she whispered, her voice weak but full of wonder. Aaron nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty. You are safe now." The hall erupted in astonishment. Some aliens knelt, others whispered in disbelief. A human, small, seemingly fragile, had saved their mighty queen. It was something no one could have predicted. The Queen's gaze lingered on Aaron. She saw not just a human, but courage, intelligence, and patience. For centuries she had ruled with absolute authority. Now for the first time she realized that strength could come in many forms. Sometimes it came not from size or power, but from careful thought and a steady heart. "Why, did this happen to me?" she asked. Aaron took a deep breath. "You have carried great responsibility for many years. Your mind and body worked constantly. Even the strongest need care. Your species' medicine is advanced. But even advanced medicine cannot replace understanding the whole being. You needed someone to see both the body and the mind." The Queen listened carefully. Her mind, sharp as ever, began to process what he said. She had never considered that her long life, her constant stress, and her unyielding will could hurt her in this way. It was humbling. The council, still recovering from shock, looked at Aaron with new eyes. He was not just a human. He was a mind capable of seeing what others could not. The Queen's life had been saved by something simple yet profound: understanding, care, and courage. Slowly, she sat up, her strength returning. She looked around the hall at her people who had doubted the human and then back at Aaron. "You have my gratitude," she said. "You have saved me, and for that I will remember you." Aaron smiled humbly. "I am glad you are safe, Your Majesty. That is all that matters." Even as the hall filled with relief and whispered admiration, the Queen could feel a change in herself. She had seen something new in humans. Not weakness, not fragility, but resilience, intelligence, and compassion. A human had faced what no alien could face and succeeded. This moment marked the beginning of something new. The Queen, once invincible in every way, had learned humility. And the humans, often overlooked and underestimated, had shown a glimpse of their true strength. The council began to plan for the future. The Queen would recover fully, but now she would also consider new perspectives. Perhaps the human could teach them more than just medicine. Perhaps humans could offer wisdom and ideas the aliens had never imagined. And somewhere deep inside, Aaron knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had made its mark on an alien empire, not through war, not through power, but through thought, courage, and a steady heart. The Queen, once untouchable, smiled faintly. For the first time she wondered what humans could truly achieve, and she felt a spark of excitement she had not felt in centuries. The alien Queen lay in her private chambers, surrounded by soft lights and humming machines that monitored her every heartbeat. She rested on a platform that could adjust to her body perfectly, a marvel of alien technology. Outside, the palace was alive with whispers. The news of her sudden illness had spread across the empire like wildfire. Leaders, scientists, and citizens alike were shocked that the unshakable Queen could suffer something so human as a heart attack. Aaron, the human who had saved her life, stood quietly at the edge of the room. He was small compared to the towering alien attendants, yet his calm presence carried weight. The Queen's healers and advisors, still amazed that she had survived, watched him with suspicion. Many of them did not trust humans. They had seen humans as weak, fragile, and inexperienced. Some even believed humans should only serve as messengers or simple observers. But Aaron knew better. He had studied alien species for years. He understood their anatomy, their energy flows, and their biology. Humans were not as strong physically, but they could think differently, solve problems in ways others could not. And that thinking, he hoped, would help the Queen fully recover. "Your Majesty," Aaron said softly, approaching the platform. "I need your permission to examine you more closely. Not just your body, but your daily routines, your environment, and your diet. This will help me understand why this happened and prevent it from happening again." The Queen, though still weak, nodded. Her voice was soft but curious. "You believe you can help me, human?" Aaron smiled faintly. "I believe I can try, but I will need your trust." The Queen considered for a moment. She had lived for centuries, faced countless dangers, and trusted very few beings. Yet something about this human was different. He had saved her life when everyone else had been helpless. She decided to trust him. "Very well," she said. "Do as you must." Aaron began his work immediately. First, he observed the Queen's environment. Her chambers were perfect by alien standards, temperature-controlled, energy flows balanced, and machines monitoring every function of her body. Yet he noticed subtle issues. The constant hum of the monitoring machines, the strict schedule of meals and medicines, and the endless responsibilities that weighed on her mind. All these were forms of stress. Even a being as strong as the Queen could feel the strain over centuries. Next, he examined her diet. The Queen ate exotic foods, carefully prepared and filled with nutrients. But they were often heavy and hard to digest, designed for short bursts of energy for alien warriors rather than long-term health. Aaron realized that over centuries this diet could contribute to fatigue and strain on her heart. Finally, he studied her routines. The Queen never slept more than a few hours at a time. She rarely rested her mind. Decisions, councils, ceremonies, and long-distance communication filled her days endlessly. Even the most advanced alien medicine could not fix the effects of such constant mental and physical strain. Aaron looked at the Queen, who now observed him with a quiet curiosity. "Your body has endured centuries of stress that even your species cannot fully manage," he explained. "Your heart is strong, but it has been carrying a burden for too long. If we do not address this carefully, another episode could occur." Some alien medics frowned. They had never thought of the Queen in this way. In their eyes, she was perfect. Humans, fragile and inexperienced, were now suggesting that even the strongest could be vulnerable. The room was filled with a tension that was both fear and fascination. Aaron continued, carefully combining his observations with alien technology. He adjusted her meals, suggesting lighter, more balanced nutrition. He recommended gentle exercises to strengthen her heart and restore energy. Most importantly, he introduced periods of mental rest, a human concept the Queen had never allowed herself. The Queen was hesitant at first. She had ruled for centuries with constant vigilance. Pausing, resting, or delegating duties was almost foreign to her. But Aaron guided her patiently. "Even the strongest leaders must care for themselves," he said. "Your empire needs you, but only if you are healthy. This is not weakness, it is wisdom." Over the following days, Aaron worked closely with the Queen. He observed her energy levels, adjusted her diet, and monitored her heart carefully. The Queen, though initially skeptical, began to notice subtle changes. Her breathing felt easier. Her chest felt lighter. Her mind, for the first time in centuries, felt free from constant tension. The alien medics watched in amazement. They had spent their lives studying the Queen's biology, yet it was a human, small, patient, and observant, who seemed to understand her in a way they never had. Some began to question their own assumptions about humans. Perhaps these beings were not as fragile or limited as they had believed. One day, a senior advisor approached Aaron. "Human," they said, their voice cautious. "Your methods, they are unusual. How do you know they will work? Our species has lived for millennia. Your experiences, brief in comparison." Aaron looked at the advisor with calm determination. "Experience is valuable, but understanding and observation are just as important. I have studied your species carefully. I have learned how your body works, how your mind works, and how they are connected. Strength does not only come from muscle or energy, it comes from knowledge and care." The advisor studied him silently. They had never heard such words from a human. For centuries, humans had been underestimated. They were seen as weak, unpredictable, and temporary. Yet here, in the chambers of the alien Queen, a human was showing wisdom that even centuries of alien tradition had missed. Over the next several weeks, the Queen's health improved steadily. Aaron introduced meditation-like techniques to calm her mind. He encouraged her to delegate duties and trust her counsel more. He adjusted her meals to include easier-to-digest foods with high energy content. He even designed light exercises that were safe for her species but strengthened her heart. As the queen regained strength, she began to notice changes in herself. She could think more clearly, make decisions faster, and feel energy she had not experienced in decades. Her mind felt lighter, her heart stronger. She realized that humans, with their different perspective, could see problems that her advisors, no matter how skilled, could not. One evening, the queen summoned her council and the human. She stood tall, though still recovering, and spoke with a voice that carried both authority and newfound respect. "I have lived for centuries, yet I have learned something new," she said. "This human, Aaron, has helped me recover from an illness that no alien medicine could cure alone. He has shown patience, care, and wisdom beyond his species. I now see that humans are not weak or fragile. They are capable of extraordinary thought and action." The council murmured in surprise. Many were skeptical, but they could not deny the evidence. The queen's recovery was proof of the human's skill and insight. Some medics even began to adopt his methods, combining human thinking with alien technology. Aaron, standing quietly, felt a mix of pride and humility. He had not acted for recognition, only to help. Yet he could see the change in perception around him. Humans, often underestimated, were beginning to earn respect in an alien empire for the first time. The queen continued, her gaze on Aaron. "You have not only saved my life," she said. "You have shown me that my people, my advisors, and even I can learn from humans. There is wisdom in humility, strength in care, and power in understanding." From that moment, the queen began to see humans differently. She realized that they were not the fragile species she had once thought. They had creativity, intelligence, and courage that could surpass her expectations. A single human had changed her view of an entire species. In the days that followed, Aaron continued to work with the queen, helping her restore her full strength. He taught her more about human medicine, human problem-solving, and even human ways of thinking about life and health. The queen listened carefully, fascinated by a perspective she had never encountered in her long life. The palace, once filled with tension and doubt, now buzzed with curiosity. Aliens whispered among themselves about the human who had healed the queen. Some began to ask questions, eager to learn from Aaron. Slowly, human ingenuity began to earn a place in alien thought, a small step, but one that would grow into something larger. And for Aaron, the work was only beginning. He had saved the queen's life. But more importantly, he had begun to show an alien empire that humans were capable of incredible things. Not through brute strength, not through domination, but through observation, care, intelligence, and courage. The queen, once untouchable and unshakable, now felt a spark of excitement she had not known in centuries. A new era was beginning, one in which humans might play a role far beyond what anyone had imagined. And Aaron, small but steady, knew that humanity had the chance to change the future of an entire civilization. The stars outside the palace windows shone brightly, as if acknowledging the start of something extraordinary. A human had arrived, and with patience, knowledge, and heart had begun to leave a mark that would echo across the galaxy. The alien queen's chambers were quiet, except for the soft hum of monitoring machines and the occasional whisper of attendants moving about. She had regained her strength after Aaron's initial care, but the human knew that recovery was not complete. Her heart, though stronger, still needed careful treatment. Her body had carried centuries of stress, and her mind had never been allowed to rest. The cure would require more than medicine. It would need understanding, patience, and innovation. Aaron studied the queen closely, observing every heartbeat, every breath, every flicker of energy flowing through her body. He took careful notes, combining his knowledge of human physiology with what he had learned of alien biology. He knew that the alien healers, though brilliant, relied mostly on advanced technology and strict protocols. That was enough to keep a healthy being alive. But the queen was no ordinary being, she was unique. "Even among her kind, Your Majesty," Aaron said softly, kneeling beside her recovery platform. "We need to take this one step at a time. Your heart is strong, but it needs balance. We will use both your medicine and some methods from my species. Together, they can restore your full health." The queen, her eyes still reflecting some fatigue, nodded. "I trust you, Aaron. Do what you must," Aaron began carefully. First, he adjusted the energy flows in the queen's body using alien technology, making sure each system worked in harmony. Then he introduced gentle exercises, tailored specifically to her physiology, that strengthened her heart without straining it. Even the simplest movements were important. Over centuries, her muscles and energy channels had adapted to a constant, unchanging routine. Small, precise changes could restore function that had been suppressed for centuries. The alien healers watched closely. They were curious and skeptical at the same time. Erin was doing something they had never seen before. Their machines could measure energy, strength, and chemistry, but the human relied on observation, intuition, and understanding of life as a whole. Slowly, they began to notice the results. The Queen's breathing became smoother, her energy more even, and her heart more stable. Erin then turned to her diet. The Queen's meals had always been carefully prepared, full of exotic nutrients and energy. But they were heavy, sometimes difficult to digest, and designed for short-term energy bursts rather than long-term health. Erin introduced a new plan: lighter meals that were still nutritious, with ingredients that could enhance heart function and reduce strain. He explained each change to the Queen, who listened with growing interest. "You are asking me to change what I have eaten for centuries," she said quietly, a small smile touching her lips. "Are you sure this will help?" Erin nodded. "I am sure. Your body has adapted to your old routines, but it can learn new ones. With the right care, you will be stronger than before." Days passed. The Queen followed Erin's instructions, slowly but steadily regaining her strength. Each day she exercised slightly more, rested longer, and ate the meals he recommended. Erin monitored her closely, adjusting treatments as needed. The alien healers, still skeptical, began to record his methods and results. They could not deny the improvement they saw before them. One evening, as the sun-like energy of the palace shifted in colors across the walls, the Queen spoke. "Erin, you have helped me in ways I never imagined. But why do humans see things differently than we do? Why did you notice what my advisors and healers could not?" Erin paused, thinking carefully. "Your people are brilliant and strong, Your Majesty. But sometimes being very strong makes it hard to see small details. Humans are not as physically strong, but we have to observe, learn, and adapt. We think in ways that are not always obvious, and sometimes that makes a difference." The Queen studied him. "You are patient, calm, and careful. You notice things others overlook, that is powerful," Erin smiled humbly. "It is not power in the way your empire thinks. It is focus, understanding, and care. Strength is more than muscle or energy. It is knowledge, patience, and heart." The Queen nodded slowly, her mind absorbing the meaning. For centuries, she had relied on strength, technology, and authority. Now she realized that other forms of strength existed, forms that were not physical but mental and moral. A human had shown her this, and it had saved her life. The following week, Erin introduced mental exercises. The Queen had never allowed herself to rest fully. Meditation, quiet reflection, and simple focus exercises helped reduce the constant tension in her mind. At first, she resisted. Sitting quietly felt strange. But Erin guided her patiently, explaining each step. Soon she noticed a lightness in her thoughts, a clarity she had not felt in decades. Her health improved even more. The combination of adjusted energy flows, light exercises, diet, and mental focus worked together. Her heart, once strained and unstable, became strong and steady. Her energy returned. Even her advisors, who had doubted the human at first, now watched in awe. This is incredible," one senior medic whispered. "The human's methods are working. I have never seen such improvement in centuries of studying the Queen." Erin continued his work, never rushing, always observing. He knew that the Queen's full recovery was more than physical. It was a change in how she approached life. By learning to care for herself, to rest her mind, and to trust others, she was becoming stronger in ways her species had never taught. One day, as the Queen completed her exercises, she looked at Erin with a thoughtful expression. "Erin, your methods are strange to us, but they work. I never thought a human could teach me anything." Erin shook his head gently. "I am not teaching in the way you think, Your Majesty. I am helping you see your own strength, your own wisdom in a different way. You have always been powerful, but now you will be stronger because you understand balance." The Queen smiled faintly. It was the first time in centuries that she felt fully at peace. "I see now. Strength is not only in what we can do, but in what we can understand and change." The alien medics and advisors, who had been watching this transformation, were beginning to accept something they had never considered. Humans, they realized, could achieve extraordinary things, not through raw strength, not through technology alone, but through understanding, adaptability, and careful action. In the following weeks, Aaron continued to fine-tune the Queen's treatment. He monitored her heart, adjusted her diet, and guided her through new routines. Each day she grew stronger, more energetic, and more confident. The Empire watched, amazed at the recovery of their ruler. Whispers spread through the halls. The human has done what we could not. The human saved the Queen. One morning the Queen called a council meeting. Her voice, strong and steady, carried across the vast hall. "My people," she said, "we have learned a lesson from an unexpected source. Aaron, a human, has saved my life. His knowledge, patience, and care have restored my strength. I ask you all to recognize the value of learning from others, even those you may have underestimated." The council was silent at first. Many had doubted humans, seeing them as fragile and weak, but they could not deny the truth. The Queen, their unshakable leader, had been healed by the very species they had overlooked. Slowly, murmurs of agreement spread. Aaron stood quietly, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. He had not acted for recognition, only to help. Yet he could see the change in perception around him. Humans, often underestimated, were beginning to earn respect in an alien empire. The Queen looked at Aaron with gratitude. "You have done more than heal my body," she said. "You have shown my people and me that there is power in understanding, patience, and care. You have changed how we see humans forever." Aaron bowed his head. "I am honored, Your Majesty. I only wish to help and to share what I have learned. That is all I desire." In the following days, the palace began to feel different. The Queen's advisors were more open to human ideas. The medics began to adopt some of Aaron's methods, combining them with alien technology, and the Queen herself felt renewed, not just physically, but in mind and spirit. She had survived, healed, and learned a new form of strength. Outside the palace, the stars glowed brightly, as if celebrating the human who had made a difference. A small being, humble in appearance, had shown what humans could do: heal, think, and inspire. For the first time, an alien empire was beginning to recognize humanity not for what it lacked, but for what it could achieve. Aaron, standing quietly at the edge of the Queen's chambers, knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had earned a place in an alien civilization, not through force, not through wealth, but through understanding, patience, and the courage to act. The Queen, once untouchable, smiled faintly. For centuries she had ruled with power, but now she understood that the greatest power sometimes came in small, unexpected forms, and humanity, she realized, had plenty of that power. The alien Queen's recovery was complete. Her steps were steady, her eyes sharp, and her energy stronger than it had been in decades. The palace, once filled with tension and uncertainty, now buzzed with curiosity and admiration. Everywhere Aaron went, whispers followed. The human who had saved the Queen was no longer just a guest. He had become a symbol of intelligence, patience, and courage. The Queen called for a council meeting in the Grand Hall, a space so vast that it seemed to touch the sky. Leaders from across her empire assembled, their expressions serious but attentive. They had come expecting announcements about trade, defense, or law. Instead, the Queen spoke in a voice both calm and commanding, carrying over the murmurs of the crowd. "My people," she said, her gaze sweeping across the room. "We have witnessed something extraordinary. A human named Aaron has healed me from a condition that even the most advanced alien medicine could not cure alone. He has done this through patience, careful observation, and understanding." The room fell silent. Many of the leaders had doubted humans before, seeing them as weak and fragile. Some had even questioned why the human had been invited at all. Now, faced with undeniable proof, they could not argue. Aaron, kneeling respectfully at the edge of the hall, felt a mix of pride and humility. He had not acted for recognition, only to help the Queen. Yet, here in the presence of an entire empire, his actions were being acknowledged. The Queen continued, "Aaron has taught us that strength is not only physical, it is also understanding, patience, and care. His knowledge and courage have reminded us that wisdom can come from the most unexpected places." Murmurs spread through the council. Some advisors exchanged glances, unsure how to respond. The alien species prided themselves on centuries of tradition and knowledge. To accept that a human, a species they had considered fragile, could teach them something profound was difficult. Yet the evidence was clear. The Queen was healed, healthier than ever, and Aaron's methods had shown results that no other approach could achieve. A senior medic finally spoke, stepping forward cautiously. "Your Majesty, we cannot deny the results. The human's methods are effective. Our technology alone could not have achieved this. Perhaps there is much we can learn from him." The Queen nodded. "Indeed, Aaron's approach combines observation, understanding, and care, qualities we sometimes overlook in our reliance on technology. We must be open to learning, even from those we underestimate." From that moment, Aaron's role began to change. No longer just a visitor, he was now a teacher, a guide, and a trusted advisor. The alien scientists who had once scoffed at humans began to observe his methods closely. They asked questions, studied his techniques, and even adapted some of them to their own work. Aaron, however, remained humble. He did not demand praise or power. He simply shared what he knew, guiding the Queen and her people with patience and clarity. His presence was a reminder that intelligence and courage could achieve more than strength or authority alone. The Queen, observing Aaron, felt a deep sense of respect and gratitude. For centuries she had ruled with wisdom, but now she realized that true leadership also involved humility, learning from others, even from those who seemed small or inexperienced. Over the following days, Aaron continued to work with the Queen and her council. He introduced new ideas about health, problem-solving, and communication. He encouraged collaboration, showing that combining human ingenuity with alien technology could lead to solutions far beyond what either species could achieve alone. The palace began to change. Alien medics incorporated Aaron's techniques into their treatments. Advisors learned to value human perspectives, seeing that different ways of thinking could reveal solutions they had never considered. Even the Queen's own approach to leadership evolved. She began to listen more, trust her council, and delegate tasks effectively. Her decisions became sharper, her energy more sustained, and her connection with her people deeper. One afternoon, as the sun-like energy of the palace shifted across the walls, the Queen summoned Aaron to her private chambers. She spoke quietly, yet her words carried weight. "Aaron, you have done more than heal my body. You have shown me a new way to see the world. Your perspective, your patience, and your care have reminded me that strength is not only what we can do, but what we can understand. You have changed me, and in doing so, you have changed my empire." Aaron bowed his head humbly. "I am honored, Your Majesty. I only wish to help and share what I have learned." "That is all I desire," the Queen smiled. "And yet your actions have done more than you know. You have opened our eyes to the value of humans. Perhaps it is time that your people are no longer underestimated. Perhaps it is time we consider what humans can achieve, not for what they lack, but for what they offer." News of the Queen's words spread quickly through the empire. Humans, once seen as weak, began to earn respect. Traders, scientists, and diplomats who had previously ignored them now approached with curiosity and caution. They wanted to learn from these small, adaptable beings who had shown such extraordinary thought and courage. Aaron's presence also inspired the younger generation of aliens. Students, apprentices, and trainees observed his methods and mindset. They saw that intelligence, patience, and care could solve problems that brute force or advanced machines could not. Slowly, a cultural shift began to take shape, one that valued creativity, adaptability, and collaboration across species. The Queen, seeing the changes, felt hope for the future. Her empire was strong, but it had often relied too much on tradition and technology. Now, with humans contributing in meaningful ways, she realized that her civilization could become even greater. One evening, she invited Aaron to walk with her along the palace gardens, which glowed under artificial starlight. The paths were lined with plants from across the galaxy, their colors vibrant and strange. She spoke quietly, as if sharing a secret. "Aaron, I have ruled for centuries, yet you have taught me something new. You have shown that even a small being, careful and observant, can change the course of events. This is extraordinary." Aaron looked around at the glowing gardens and replied, "Your Majesty, every species has its strengths. Humans are small and adaptable, and we think differently. That difference can solve problems that others cannot see. I only applied what I knew." The Queen nodded thoughtfully. "And in doing so, you have earned trust, respect, and admiration. Not just from me, but from my people. Your presence has changed the way we see humans and perhaps even the way we see ourselves." As they walked, the Queen realized the truth of Aaron's actions. Strength was not only about power or technology, it was about wisdom, understanding, and the courage to act. A single human had demonstrated these qualities so clearly that her entire empire had begun to change. By the next week, Aaron was no longer just a healer, he was a respected advisor. The council incorporated his ideas into their work. Alien medics adopted his methods. Students studied his techniques. And the Queen, rejuvenated and enlightened, led with renewed vigor. One morning, the Queen called the council again. She spoke with confidence, her voice carrying across the vast hall. "My people," she said, "we have learned a valuable lesson. Aaron, a human, has shown us that wisdom and strength come in many forms. Let this be a reminder that no being should be underestimated. We must remain open to learning, for knowledge and courage can come from anywhere, even from those we least expect." The council, once skeptical, now nodded in agreement. Humans had proven their worth, not through strength, not through dominance, but through intelligence, patience, and care. Aaron, standing quietly beside the Queen, felt the quiet pride of achievement. His actions had not only healed the Queen, but had also inspired a shift in an entire civilization. Humans, often overlooked, had begun to earn a respected place among the stars, and the Queen, once untouchable and unshakable, now carried a new understanding in her heart. She had seen humans at their best and recognized the value of their courage, patience, and ingenuity. The Empire was changing, and humanity's mark had begun to appear in ways no one could ignore. As the sun-like energy bathed the palace in soft light, Aaron and the Queen stood together, gazing at the horizon. A new era had begun, one where humans were no longer underestimated, one where wisdom and understanding were recognized as true strength, and one where the possibilities of cooperation and learning across species had just begun to unfold. The alien Queen's palace was alive with activity. Couriers rushed across the halls, advisors discussed plans for the Empire, and scientists studied new methods introduced by Aaron. The human, once seen as small and fragile, had become a respected presence among the aliens. His patience, intelligence, and courage had earned trust not only from the Queen but from her council, her scientists, and even her people. Aaron walked through the corridors quietly, observing the changes. The atmosphere was different. Alien medics no longer looked at humans with skepticism. Advisors now considered human ideas seriously. Even citizens of the Empire had begun to wonder about humans, asking questions and seeking understanding. The ripple of respect that had started with the Queen's recovery was spreading. The Queen summoned Aaron to her private chamber. Her robes shimmered as she walked, her movements full of renewed energy. She gestured for Aaron to sit beside her. "Aaron," she said, her voice calm but filled with authority, "your work has not only healed my body but has changed my empire. Your ideas, your patience, and your courage have shown us what humans are capable of. I wish for you to continue guiding us." Aaron bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, I am honored. I only wish to help, to share knowledge, and to ensure that the Queen and her people are safe and strong." The Queen smiled. "You will do more than that. I wish to appoint you as an official advisor to the Council. Your insight will guide not only me but the future of this empire." Whispers filled the room. A human as an advisor to the alien Queen? Such a thing had been unthinkable. Yet no one could deny the truth. Aaron had proven himself time and again. His ideas had saved the Queen and inspired the Council. Now, he was officially part of the Empire's leadership. Over the next weeks, Aaron worked closely with the Council. He shared human methods of problem-solving, ways to observe and understand complex systems, and approaches to leadership that emphasized empathy, patience, and clarity. The aliens listened carefully. They began to realize that humans, small and seemingly fragile, could offer insights that were beyond the limits of even their advanced technology. The Queen also began to change her approach to leadership. She delegated more, trusted her council, and allowed herself moments of rest and reflection, lessons she had learned from Aaron. Her decisions became sharper and more effective. Her people noticed the change. The Empire grew stronger, not only through technology or military might, but through wisdom and understanding. Aaron's influence reached beyond the palace. Alien students and apprentices began to study human techniques. Traders sought human advice when dealing with new planets. Scientists incorporated human-style experimentation and observation into their research. A small but powerful cultural shift had begun. Humans were no longer seen as weak. They were seen as capable, intelligent, and adaptable. One day, the Queen called a special meeting of the Council and invited representatives from across the Empire. She stood tall, her presence commanding respect. "My people," she began, "we have learned a lesson that I hope will never be forgotten. The human Aaron has shown us the value of patience, observation, and understanding. He has reminded us that strength is not only measured by power or technology, but by wisdom, courage, and care. From this day forward, humans shall be recognized as allies and partners, not as inferiors." The council erupted in applause, some standing, some kneeling in respect. Aaron, standing humbly at the side, could feel the weight of the moment. Humans, once overlooked, were now recognized across an alien empire. The Queen continued, "Aaron's methods have proven that collaboration between species can achieve what no one could accomplish alone. We will continue to learn from humans just as humans can learn from us. Together we will reach greater heights than ever before." Across the Empire, news of the Queen's declaration spread quickly. Humans on distant colonies and trading posts received messages of recognition and respect. Aliens who had once ignored or mocked humans now sought their counsel. It was a transformation that few could have predicted. Aaron, however, remained humble. He understood that respect and recognition were not the goal. His aim had always been to help, to share knowledge, and to create understanding between species. Yet seeing the impact of his work, he could not deny a quiet pride. Humanity had earned its place not through power, but through intelligence, patience, and heart. In the following months, Aaron traveled across the Empire with the Queen's blessing, visiting distant planets, research stations, and colonies. Wherever he went, he taught humans and aliens alike to observe, understand, and solve problems with patience and care. He helped establish schools where humans and aliens could learn from each other. He introduced ideas that strengthened trade, medicine, and exploration. Every place he visited became more united, more cooperative, and more open-minded. Back in the palace, the Queen reflected on the changes. She had ruled for centuries, yet she had never seen such a transformation. Her empire was stronger, wiser, and more connected than ever before. And it had begun with a single human who had faced what no alien could face, not with strength, but with thought, patience, and courage. One evening, as the artificial sun set over the palace gardens, the Queen walked with Aaron among glowing plants from distant worlds. The air was filled with soft light and quiet energy. "Aaron," she said, her voice gentle, "you have changed the way my empire thinks. You have shown my people that intelligence and care are as important as power. You have also shown me that humans are capable of greatness." Aaron looked at her with quiet respect. "Your Majesty, humans have always been capable. They just needed a chance to show it. I am grateful that you allowed me to help, and even more grateful that your people were willing to learn." The Queen smiled. "I believe this is only the beginning. Humans and aliens working together can achieve more than either could alone. I will ensure that our empire continues to value your species and the lessons you have shared." Over the years, Aaron's influence continued to grow. Humans became respected members of the empire, contributing to science, diplomacy, and exploration. Alien technology combined with human innovation led to discoveries and achievements previously thought impossible. Trade flourished, colonies thrived, and understanding between species deepened. The Queen, once untouchable and unshakable, often reflected on the day she had fallen ill. That moment of vulnerability had led to an alliance that would shape the future of her empire. And at the center of it all was a human, small, patient, and wise, who had shown that true strength comes from intelligence, courage, and heart. In the grand hall of the palace, where once tension and fear had filled the air, laughter, discussion, and collaboration now took its place. Humans and aliens worked together, learning from each other, growing together, and exploring the universe side by side. Aaron often looked up at the stars from the palace terraces. He thought of Earth, his home, and the human species that had traveled so far. He knew that humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through war, not through conquest, but through courage, intelligence, and understanding. And the alien Queen, standing beside him, felt a deep sense of hope. She had ruled for centuries, yet the future had never seemed brighter. The humans once underestimated had proven their worth. Together, humans and aliens would explore new worlds, solve new problems, and achieve greatness beyond imagination. As the stars shone above, Aaron and the Queen looked toward the horizon. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and possibilities. Humanity had left its mark, and its journey among the stars had only just begun. For the first time, the Queen understood that greatness was not measured by power alone. It was measured by courage, wisdom, and the willingness to learn from others. And in that moment, she knew that humanity, small and adaptable, had earned a legacy among the stars, a legacy that would continue to grow, shining as brightly as the stars themselves. The Empire had changed. The Queen had changed, and humanity had changed history, not through domination, but through intelligence, care, and heart. The future was bright, and the stars above promised endless possibilities for those willing to act with courage and wisdom. And so, a human named Aaron had not only healed a queen, but had also healed perceptions, built alliances, and begun a new era where humans were respected, valued, and remembered across the galaxy. The galaxy, once vast and intimidating, now felt a little smaller, a little closer, and full of promise. Humanity had arrived, and it had proven that intelligence, courage, and heart could change everything.